Welcome to the RetroBro Live Show. Whether you consider him a known troll or your favorite show, RetroBro is here to talk games, slam protein shakes, and maybe hurt a few feelings along the way. Don't forget to sub and stay active in the chat. Now, without further delay, here is the RetroBro.
What is up, guys? John the RetroBro, and we were back with another RetroBro live show with my always dependable co-host Kamikaze Soundwaves. How you doing, my man?
My leg is fucked up, but I'm good. Yeah, so how are you?
We're gonna talk about that here in a few minutes. So, and we got a special guest. Awesome Stuff HD, man. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Thank you for having me on, John.
Yeah, it's I think I had JRPG on here a few weeks ago, and we were just kind of chatting, and he had brought you up, and I was like, man, I wish that guy wouldn't have stopped doing YouTube, man. I kind of miss him and I miss his opinions, and I shot you a message. I think it was today, actually. It was today or yesterday. So I'm glad you could come on, man. We're gonna definitely catch up, and I can't wait to get your opinions on a few things. So.
All right, that sounds good. And by JRPG, you're talking about JRPG gaming, right?
Yeah, that's who I meant.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other ones. Yeah, he's an awesome dude, man. He streams with Chris Kamikaze Soundwaves quite often, and it's been pretty good. So and then he's been doing his own streaming, and Down Phoenix says, "Oh, holy shit!" So, Chris.
Hey, Down Phoenix. How you doing, Justin?
Haven't heard that voice in a minute, he says. Chris hurts his leg, and he immediately texts me out of all the people, so I feel honored that I'm the first guy you think of when you hurt yourself.
Well, really, I did tell my wife. My wife was like, dude, fuck off, like I don't care.
Yeah, that's how my wife is, man.
But I just thought it was like funny, but at the same time, like I was like legitimately in pain, and I was just like, I feel like I just need to tell someone this because like I don't know why, it was just fucking random as fuck. It's like so unbelievable what the fuck just happened about an hour and a half ago.
What did you said you were running from a horsefly?
All right, so do you guys have those out in Arizona? Like horseflies are like legitimately like an inch and a half long, and like when they fucking fly around, they sound like a fucking attack helicopter.
No, but we've got like there's a bug we have out here, and apparently it has like the worst sting in the like world. Like if you get bit or stung by this thing, it's supposed like the worst thing there is. And then on top of that, we have scorpions. So I don't fuck with I don't fuck with the bugs out here, man. They're legit. Like they'll fucking kill you, dude. Like, it's crazy.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I don't fuck with any of them. I don't know which ones are like poisonous and not, so I just stay the fuck away from all of them. So I had my headphones in. I'm like sitting in my garage, and I'm like just jamming out and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is this noise? I mean, it literally sounds like someone is just like bouncing off the walls of my garage. So I take my headphones and look up, and there's like this fucking horsefly just bouncing off the fucking walls. So this is not my first encounter. I've had many encounters with them, man. Like they like, I don't know if they're blind, but they like literally are fast as hell, and they're huge, and they just bounce off the walls. So my strategy has been with them is to get a bottle of Windex and something to smack it with. So I'll spray it with the Windex so that way it can't fly and it'll fall down. Then I'll smack it with something. So I that was my strategy. And this time, like it literally just made like a fucking beeline right for my face. It was like a smacking me all over my body, and I literally like turned my leg trying to run the fuck away from it. My leg is like legitimately, I literally am like limping since then. Like I fucked my leg up pretty good.
That's funny. My wife would have had the same reaction. Do you guys remember Beavis and Butthead? Did you guys watch that show?
All the time.
Do you remember when they had
I remember it, but I didn't watch it too much.
I wasn't allowed to watch it. My mom actually got grounded once for watching that show. But I remember like one episode, they had a fly stuck in their apartment. And the whole episode is them trying to kill this fly.
Well, I left the garage open and just turned off the light. I hope it finds its way out because I cannot fuck with it anymore, man. I'm not fucking with it. I'm done. I hope it just finds another light source and just gets the hell out of my garage.
Yeah, bugs, man. I'm not a bug guy. In fact, I used to live in an apartment, or not an apartment, a house we rented. It had like a massive cricket infestation, and they'd find their way like in small cricks and crevices. I would like tear lights and like shit out of walls to try and kill crickets, man. So, but anyways, this isn't the bug podcast. Actually, I don't even like calling this a podcast. Someone called it a podcast, and I'm like, it's not a fucking podcast. It's a show. It's not on iTunes. Do you even podcast, bro? But games we've been playing. Awesome stuff. I'll let you start, man. We haven't heard from you in a while, so tell me about what you've been up to as far as gaming wise lately.
I've been pretty all over the place. I've been playing some platformers, kind of like Kirby. I've been playing Kirby Squeak Squad for the DS. That's a pretty good platformer game. It's like one of the 2D Kirby's where it's side-scrolling and you get the abilities and whatnot. And a lot of people kind of say that one's just kind of okay, but in my opinion, it's kind of underrated. Like, you get a lot of different abilities and a lot of different ways you can use them. The level design's pretty good. And it rewards you for going for like 100% by giving you like bonus stuff. And that's always really good in a platformer. And then I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. I've really gotten into that game.
Word up.
It's pretty fun, but you really have to get good teammates in that game because a lot of people are very negative in that game and they will just give up if anything like remotely goes wrong in a match in that game.
I heard that like if you're a noob, and this is one of the reasons why I haven't really gotten it yet, because there's like I like to play especially when it comes to FPS, I like to play the campaign, kind of know where I'm at, and then go to the multiplayer. I feel like with Overwatch though, like I don't know how the learning curve is, but if I get in there and I'm gonna suck, I'm just gonna get like shit on by people like, oh, this guy's garbage, you know that kind of stuff. It's like I don't have time to play this all the time, so give me a break.
Yeah, it's a very, very high learning curve game, and the community, there's a lot of really cool people in it, but then there's just some really like toxic people.
Yeah, that's a
awesome
lot
stuff.
of gaming.
Awesome stuff, HD, man. Like I am like addicted to Overwatch, man. It's like it's really hard for me to like justify it a lot of times with certain people, but man, I love the game for what it is. And yeah, and you're right, 100%, man. It's a toxic community, and people will legitimately just quit playing, throw their controller down, and say "F you." Like I'm not playing anymore because I didn't agree with your tactics in that moment, or I don't feel that you're doing the right job. It's and at the same time, you get really great people who are like just really cool, like they'll communicate, et cetera, et cetera. But no, man, like what you were getting at, man, I love Overwatch, man. I think it's the best game like the last 2 years, hands down.
I was giving you some serious shit for a while because that's all you played on your channel. I mean, it was fun, I liked watching it, but like it was like, damn, this dude
Overwatch is a great
about
game.
Overwatch.
It's good,
Yeah,
man.
it's a really good game. I like the game a lot. It's just the community is really hit and miss sometimes.
See,
like there's some really cool games. You get cool teammates. They want to work together. They're all cool. They don't take anything too seriously in terms of getting angry or anything. But then you get other games where I literally get into a game and a person doesn't like the team composition, even though we had like a healer and a tank and DPS and everything. And they just say, GG, I'm going to throw. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, really?
Awesome stuff. What are you playing on? Are you playing on PC?
Yeah, PC.
Okay, good shit. I play on Xbox One. I actually really wanted to get it on PC, but no, I think even PC, like that community is like even more toxic than it all, because like those like were like the MLG, like the very, very serious players are. Are you playing a lot of competitive?
Yeah, I play a lot of competitive.
Yeah, man. I actually had to quit playing competitive, man, because legitimately, like, it turned me into like a 12-year-old where I would throw temper tantrums. Like, I would get so angry, like, you guys don't know what you're doing, like, I wouldn't be part of that toxic community where I would talk crap or nothing. Like, I would get legitimately angry. So I've literally dialed it back to just casual play, man, because it's still a fun game, but still at the same token, like if someone picks Hanzo, everybody gives them crap, because like everybody plays Hanzo for some reason.
Hanzo could perfectly work fine. There's plenty of people who can play him very well and help the team win with him.
Yeah, and agreed, but like there's just like people. It's like, oh well, we have a Hanzo. Let me pick a Widowmaker too. It's like that's too many snipers. Like we need, but but at the same token, like there's certain characters where I'm in the mood for, and I'm like I'm not really wanting to switch up my style right now. But to be honest, like you kind of have to adjust your play style in order for you. It's not a solo game, man. You got to play as a team to succeed.
Yeah, exactly.
So what else besides Overwatch, man? Any of the newer games that have been coming out or came out?
Well, I've been waiting to play Sonic Mania because I'm a huge fan of Sonic 1 through 3 on Genesis, but I'm getting the PC version, which, as we know, got delayed.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to play that, and I've been replaying Sonic 1 and 2.
Oh, man. It's funny because I'm going to get it on Steam as well. I just bought a mini PC I have, and I use it as an emulator / Steam machine, and I was gonna get it on like Xbox or PS4, but I'm like, nah, you know what? If you play it on Steam, I could hook up like my Sega Saturn controller to it. I can move it around because this mini PC is small. It's like, it's like the size of maybe 2 iPhones, and I could move it around, take it with me, stuff like that. Plus, if there ever is a physical that comes out, then I'll get it on PS4 or Xbox, one of those probably. But oh man, from what I've seen, that game looks great, dude. I've been playing some Sonic CD actually because Joel from Media Glitch hooked it up with a Steam code, extra Steam code he had, and I had never actually played Sonic CD before, if you believe that or not. And I was a huge Sonic fan. I still am a huge Sonic fan growing up. And Kamikaze, I believe you were the one that told me that if you pre-order it on Steam, it's only like what, $17, I think you said.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't come out till like the 28th or the 29th. So like right now it's $17 on Steam. So you save that $2 or $3 if you're really like, PC Master Race or anything like that. But I've debated getting it on PS4 because I watched a few streams, I've watched the reviews, and like I'm at the point where I actually really, really want to play it. I was kind of like, it's another 2D sounding game, I can pass it up. But from what I've seen, now I'm like really interested, super interested.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, this game is getting some seriously high praise, and I know Down Phoenix in the chat, he played it. What's up, Cyrus Martin? Down Phoenix had played it, and he was talking to me, and he's like, dude, it's just nostalgia feels all day. I mean, the person who made it is a fan. It was originally a fan game, and Sega pretty much hired this dude to make this game. But I'll tell you what, if Sonic Forces sucks, I think Sonic Team will be done. And they'll just have this guy make their Sonic games going forward.
Yeah.
But I considered buying it just tonight in order to play it before the stream. But nah, I'll wait for the Steam game, man. Plus that collection, that collector's edition actually looks pretty legit. Have you seen that thing, that statue?
Oh yeah, I got it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that thing is no joke big. It's like probably what, 14 inches tall, you figure, if you count the base and the actual statue.
Yeah,
it's legit, and I like how they give you like the little cartridge with the ring in it. I know my buddy Xander from XS Gaming, he made like a cover for like a Sega case that you could put the cartridge in. It's pretty cool, man. I'll have to get it from him and share it. I told him to upload it on the cover project. That's pretty cool.
What is that? It's like $40, right, for the collector's thing, right?
It's 67. It's like 65 right now.
Oh
yeah,
man, that's a
lot. 67. I got it for like I think it was 48 from Amazon.
You pre-ordered it, so you got the 20% off. So yeah, it's about 48 if you pre-order it. But now it's like 65, and it's about $60. But I was gonna, and this will kind of lead into the next topic. I was gonna just go out and outright buy it. But I've spent like way too much money on games and Game On Expo last week, and I actually canceled a couple pre-orders. Kamikaze, hate to say it, man, but I had to cancel my Destiny 2 pre-order, brother.
Dude, you fucking suck, dude.
So here's the thing. You remember all those games I bought a few months ago? Or it was like a month ago when I did that GameStop trade-in deal. I got like a stack of 12 games. And I just beat Battlefield 1 and I just beat Titanfall 2 last night, and I have Neo and Horizon that like are next on the list. I might play Neo first.
Both of those are amazing, especially Neo.
So if I like say I start Neo's gonna take me forever. Like there's no way I'm gonna just be like, oh, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna play Destiny. So I'm gonna wait. But nonetheless, I'll eventually get it. And I also realized something about myself playing Titanfall 2. I can't play FPS on PS4 controllers for a long, like extended period of time. My hand cramps up, dude. So I don't know what
I
it is.
prefer the Xbox controller for consoles for FPS games.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. It's the way those analog sticks are. Like, I know, Kamikaze, I forget you. I think you might have mentioned it when you were talking to JRPG Gaming, but your thumb does slide up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like,
or
all right,
like
so
sometimes my thumbs will actually like if I'm going right on the left and left on the right, my thumbs will like bump into each other.
Yeah, no, I will say with the PS4 controller, like if like like the left stick like is usually, oh, I mean it is your the way you guide yourself, and if you're just literally like going in a long corridor, your thumb eventually it just keeps sliding and sliding and sliding up, and then you have to readjust your thumb. Like, well, I will say with the Xbox One controller, like those grips on it, man, they hold that shit tight as hell. Like you literally press up and it just sticks there. It's really, really well done. But like I said, I've played many games on both consoles. Like I've gotten to the point where I was completely against PlayStation controllers. But at this point, like I like both of them. But I will say I will side with the Xbox One controller. I think it does. I think it did it very well.
So before we go into that any further, just gonna hit this chat up a little bit. Black Metal Gamer, he says Xbox isn't doomed. They just kind of they're in second place for here on out. I think Nintendo might creep up, but BioPhoenix says good luck beating Neo. It's tough. Down Phoenix wants to know, awesome, how far are you on Hellblade? I think you said
Hellblade I did not have.
Oh, you don't have it? Okay. Everyone's talking about that game, man. I'm gonna have to check that out.
I watched a few like Let's Plays on it. I don't know like what I not seen, but I'm not seeing anything like spectacular. Maybe it's like you have to experience it type game.
Awesome stuff. Have I talked to you since the Switch released?
Yeah, we spoke a little bit about the Switch.
Okay. Yeah, you still pretty much have the same sentiments of the Switch, even though they're, I think, up to close around 5 million in sales.
Well, I was wrong about the sales, but Nintendo had a really good E3, but my issue with the Switch still is it'll have a good library in the future, and this is a problem with a lot of consoles when they come out. There's just no library right now. Like single-player-wise, like multiplayer, I get it, you have Splatoon and all that. But single-player, like really single-player-focused games, you just have Zelda, and that's already on the Wii U, so I still have no reason to get one.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's awesome, but I'm not going to spend $300 to get one game.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you.
Play 2 or Metro, especially when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, because Metroid Prime 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. I could play that game start to finish a million times, never get bored of that.
So I got one for the kids. You remember I had one. I played Zelda and I sold it, and then I got one for the kids. It's funny because my 5-year-old will play the hell out of some Mario Kart Double Dash, so I know she'll get her use out of it. And
Double Dash is amazing.
Yeah,
it's my favorite Mario Kart.
We were playing it earlier on that mini PC, man, and she loves it. So I know it won't be a waste of money for me. But yeah, it's one of those things. I'm curious, and I've said it before, I'm curious what their library is going to look like, though, next year as far as their releases go. Because, I mean, in all honesty, their launch was pretty good. It's a lot better than what the Xbox One X will have. But it's been pretty good. So, and I think that's definitely helped with sales. But it'll be really interesting to see if that kind of teeters off next year. And then one thing I definitely didn't get your view on, obviously, was the SNES Mini. What's up, Born Distracted?
The Super Nintendo Mini?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for people who they want the hardware experience of, you plug in the controller, you plug it to the TV and all that. But for me, I just use ROMs for that kind of stuff.
Well, I know you're a pretty most of the retro gaming you do is via emulation, if I'm not mistaken. I remember when you used to stream, it was always emulation. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's pretty much always emulation. I mean, I have a Super Nintendo, but it's just pretty much shelved, and I just don't hook it up. I just use my computer. A lot of the reason why is because of wires. When you just start getting wires all over the place, it's a big mess. And I just, quite frankly, don't like to have to deal with the wires and all that. And, meanwhile, my computer, I can just get the emulator, boom, there's the ROM, and I load it up, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, I've recently became the same way. I used to have the consoles hooked up, and then I switched to a Raspberry Pi, and now I have the mini PC for like GameCube, Dreamcast, which plays really well. So for me, there's really no use. I know JRPG Gaming sent me a link. I guess they may do pre-orders this weekend apparently, but I'm not even gonna try this time. I'm on the side of Kamikaze at this point. I just don't care, as he says.
Yeah.
So, Born Distracted asks, will HDR really help gaming, especially compared to graphics? I think HDR really makes the picture a lot better than 4K does, because I have a 4K TV, and 4K looks good when I'm streaming stuff, but when you compare like regular 4K, and then compare it like 4K with HDR, I think it's a huge upgrade. But I think gaming is trying to push more of the, 4K going forward. So I don't know how much HDR is going to, really help gaming. I think it's just kind of be like a novelty. But then eventually, I think everything will eventually be in HDR, maybe 10 years from now anyway. So it's just that next step in progression. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I think of that. Do you guys have anything on that one?
You're talking about HDR?
Yeah.
For that, I mostly play on PC a lot, so I'm always taking advantage of HDR and whatnot. But as far as graphics go, I mean, it's pretty much just you got to go with PC.
Yeah.
If you really want the graphics.
Yeah, agreed.
Hey, what's up, JRPG Gaming?
But at the end of the day, it's all about the gameplay for me. I could care less if a game looks pretty, if it's the most boring game imaginable.
Tazen Spots asks, we got a lot of people in the chat right now.
Hey, JRPG Gaming. Hey, Bao.
He says, what do you guys think of the GameCube HDMI plug that was recently made? Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I saw that.
What do you think of that? I don't know how much it is. Do you guys know how much that thing costs? Maybe someone in the chat will let us know.
Yeah, I don't remember how much it was.
That would be really good to have, because even though I have a CRT TV, I would like to be able to hook up my older consoles to my HD TV so that I can play them in the correct resolution and the aspect ratio and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't like having to hook up my older consoles like my GameCube to my CRT-TV.
Well,
like
the game
Metroid Prime, I've tried it on the Dolphin. It doesn't work very well on the Dolphin, so I have to play it on the GameCube or on the Wii.
Yeah, I know there's I'm using a mini PC, so the power's not there, but from what I've played so far, it seems all right. But I haven't really other than that, some shit just doesn't push through. But the GameCube is native RGB, isn't it?
It is.
So
it
yeah,
is.
Yellow, white, red.
Yeah. Well, RGB is the blue. Is it like blue, green, white? I think it is.
No, wait.
Yellow,
You're
red, and white.
The HD setup, right?
Yeah, HD.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the CRT-TV. Never mind.
No. The GameCube. I don't know how much this thing is. I'm trying to look it up now.
Somebody says $100, and I think that's pretty accurate. I saw Metal Jesus Rocks made a video on it. Like, he made a whole fucking dedication video to it, and still I was like, I think that's right, about $100. I was like, oh man, this thing's really cool. Like, I have a GameCube, that would be really good, to play like with some of my GameCube games. And then it was $100. I'm like, fuck that, $100 just to convert it to HDMI, etc. Like, no, I'm good. I'm good. That's expensive for something like that, man. I mean,
yeah, Tazen says it's $100. Yeah, I
think that's pretty accurate. I believe that's what it was, because I remember my initial reaction when I saw. That was the only video I ever saw on it. Was from an OG's Rocks, and I was like, I don't remember if it was 100, but I remember it might be 100. But I just remember whatever price it was. I was like, oh fuck that, no way, I'm not paying that much for that.
Down Phoenix says that's a hard pass. He said the Wii to HDMI is only $10.
I mean, you could just buy an AV to HDMI out. Like, I mean, it's that simple. You can get those off eBay for like $4.
Yeah, but you're not. You're just converting the signal. When you do that, you're not actually outputting the You're not outputting the HD.
I mean,
it's just,
still,
you're just converting it so you can plug it in.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, like, if they really want that upscaling that much, like, I think there's other options. The reason I bought something like that was like something like for my Dreamcast. Something from my GameCube, like where I maybe want to do a Let's Play or a stream that game or review it, and use my Elgato HD60 where I know I'm getting 60 frames per second. So I think something like that still does it justice in that realm. But if you're really looking to upscale the hell out of it, like just fucking wait for a remaster of whatever game you're wanting to play, because it's gonna happen. Unless you're trying to play like something really obscure.
Well, if Nintendo would get off their ass and release a virtual console, we could play those games in HD on the Switch in 720.
Right.
But that's a rabbit hole I'm not going down tonight. Down Phoenix says it won't work with all the GameCubes. Apparently, you have to have an early progressive scan model.
Oh yeah, there is. I did see that there on that video. There is a certain model, and it was the purple one. I think it was the purple one that he had in that video. But I have the fucking gray one. I don't even know what fucking model that is. It's just, I just remember I just have the fucking gray one. That's all the fucking that I know. I don't know which model it is. I just know I have the gray one.
I'm actually in the process of putting my GameCube up on eBay, because if I come across any GameCube games in a while, they've got a Wii console that'll play them if I need to test them. Born Distracted says, I'm going to my first video game con this Sunday. Any advice what to expect? Which one are you going to, first of all? I can tell you that AZ Game On, it's fun. There's a lot of cool stuff at most conventions, but one thing I will say is don't expect to see like bargain deals. Like that shit just doesn't happen anywhere anymore. So if you're looking to go like game hunting, maybe you could find, like, if you need like a rare game that's hard to find out in the wild, you might be able to get it, and might be able to get it for a few bucks less. But I think one of the things I was expecting when I went to mine, or like 2 years ago, I thought I was going to get like crazy deals, and it just wasn't the case. But I don't know. Have you guys? I don't think either of you have either been to a convention before, have you?
No, I haven't been to a convention.
And I know Kamikaze, I don't think you have, so.
Yeah, we had that conversation last time. I worked them because that's what I do for a living, but I've never attended one. And after seeing from the working end, like I have no drive to go to one. It's just not my thing.
Play NYC. I'm not sure about that. Damn, this freaking chat is going crazy.
It's good shit, man. Good shit. Man.
JRPG says, question RetroBro, will you sell everything games you own? No, I won't sell my Xbox games, and I won't sell my PS2 games. I won't sell those. I like those, especially original Xbox. I'm going to hang on to those for a while until they get stupid expensive, because people are idiots and believe anything they see on YouTube. So, all right. So, any other chat questions? What's your favorite video game of all time? From Media Glitch. I think I could guess what yours is. Awesome Stuff.
What is it?
Is it Symphony of the Night? It's that, or like a Final Fantasy game?
It's not Final Fantasy. It was at one point. I've changed it quite frequently.
Yeah, I wouldn't know then.
Probably my favorite of all time, if you were to ask me like right now, would probably be The Witcher 3.
Good choice.
On some days, you could ask me, it could be A Link to the Past, it could be Metroid Prime 1, it could be Trails at Cold Steel, Final Fantasy 6 maybe. It depends. I mean, there's a lot of games I really like a lot, so it's very hard for me to choose a favorite.
What about
but
you?
Witcher 3, for me, it's done something I've never seen any other game able to do, which was it was an open world game. And you know how they have a lot of side missions and that type of stuff, but a lot of them are normally really boring. But
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I can't play many of those
like
types
meaningful.
of games.
Like it felt like a main story mission, like it was worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to. Man, I wish I could. I mean, I have the time. I just don't have the commitment that it takes, because like I want to play other stuff. Like, because I'm the type of gamer that if I put a game in, I'm like, I have to beat this game, and that's all I'll focus on until I beat that game. That's why I like short games.
Yeah, I have a problem. I balance too many games at once. I go back and forth between like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
I go through each one really slow. Like I've been going through Sonic. I've been replaying, Sonic 1 and 2. I've been playing some Shinobi 3 on Genesis. Really good platformer. Very underrated Genesis game. And then I've been playing, Kirby. Been playing Ys. Man, what else have I been playing? Trails. Just been playing way too many games. Overwatch. Just bouncing back and forth between way too many games.
Yeah. What about you, Kamikaze?
It really depends on what day you ask me what my favorite game is of all time. But if you're asking me today, because I started a stream of it, Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII was a impactful, very impactful game for me, and I played through it like at least 10 times. But I've only beaten it like maybe 3 or 4 times. But I've gotten to the final boss and realized I made a wrong step here or there. But if you ask me today, I guess my answer today would be Final Fantasy VII. That was a big game for me, man. It was a game that came out in a weird time in my life, and I just gravitated towards it. So I guess I don't know if you I'm sure maybe you can kind of speak for that, and also kind of speak for that. But there's certain games that like come out in your lifetime where like maybe they weren't good games, but like you played them in that time in your life, and you just like that's something that you really just played and loved, regardless of what other people have to say about it.
That's Final Fantasy VII was probably the most important game I ever played in terms of gaming as a hobby. Because before Final Fantasy VII, I had played like a few RPGs, but I didn't really know like what RPG was. I just played games like maybe like Dragon Warrior or Super Mario RPG, and I kind of liked them, but I wasn't like a big fan. Like I would go out and buy RPGs and stuff. And I remember, I'll never forget this. My brother came over one day, and he's holding this game case, and it's got this guy with this big sword and this like blonde spiky hair. And the game case intrigued me, and it was Final Fantasy VII. And I'm like, hey, that's a pretty cool game. Is it all right if I try that out? And he said, hey, I couldn't get into it. Here, you can have it. And I was like, all right, cool. Thank you, man. And I ended up playing it, and for many, many years, it became my favorite game of all time. And it got me really into RPGs. And the thing for it was that instead of just being a game that I'm just getting to the finish to see the end of the game, it was more like I was getting to the end of the game to see the end of a story. Yeah. And I've never had any other game really have that impact the way that Final Fantasy VII did.
Yeah, agreed, 100%, man. It was about the destination, but the journey was so incredible. The way you got to that destination, the journey was just like it enthralled me. It made me so invested. It was a game that made me so invested in the characters, and that was the first time I remember caring about the people that I'm playing with. I'm like not grow up with them, but I felt like I knew them as people and as individuals and character development. Like that was one of the first games where like I started to understand like storytelling is a huge part of gameplay, not just punch, kick, Hadouken. You know what I mean?
Well, that's one thing that the PlayStation really kind of brought us, because up until the PS1, we didn't really have that. I mean, you look at games like Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, like they were pretty much the grandfathers of doing that type of like almost cinematic game style that we see a lot of today in just about everything.
Right.
So yeah, I could totally see that. Me personally, I'm cliche. I'll say Symphony of the Night. I'm just like,
it's an incredible game.
That's a game I can just play whenever I want. Like I could sit down, I could do no death runs, and I'm just really good at that game because I played it 100 fucking times. But yeah, Teasin Spot, Tazen. One more quick one. What are your thoughts on the new third-party Nintendo 64 controller? And I should have put that in here. That's a good question. We talked a little bit about the Nintendo 64 last week. Me personally, it's funny, as much crap as the N64 controller gets, I never disliked it. I always thought it was okay. So
it's good. It's good for certain games like Star Fox 64 and GoldenEye. It was a solid fucking controller. It really was.
The N64 controller, I gotta be honest, it's probably one of my least favorite. It's just super uncomfortable for me to use. But I never used it the right way. When I got an N64, I used my right thumb for the stick. I never knew you were supposed to use the left thumb, and it's not like I'm left-handed or anything. And so that's how I naturally got used to playing it, and that's how I still use it to this day.
Really?
It's just the way you gotta hold it, it's just really weird. And I noticed, like, when I play N64 ROMs with, like, an Xbox controller, PS3 controller, I do a lot better in the same games because I just use those controllers better. The N64 controller, it's almost unusable for me.
I would, it's funny, I bought a USB N64 controller for emulation, like, probably back around Christmas when I sold my N64. and then realized if I map my 360 controller like the way it needs to be mapped, then I don't need to use this N64 controller, because the analog stick is just, I mean, I don't like I don't mind the design as to where you hold it. I just don't like that crappy flimsy analog stick, man. It just doesn't feel good. Your thumb moves around on it too much. Oh, and
if that thing gets hit, it's broken like almost immediately too.
Hey, just a quick shout out. Xander Scullion is in the chat. If you guys have been watching my show, he actually did my intro. So I keep forgetting to put his link in my description every week. So I'm gonna start doing that. But yeah, if you guys need any like intro work done, hit up Xander Scullion from XS Gaming. He did that little intro for me in about 10 minutes. It was really nice. But yeah, anyways, I don't mind the N64 controller, but yeah, I think this controller is cool. And for $20, I might buy one just to I'll probably get like a USB dongle to hook it up to my computer for emulation. So I think for $20 it's a pretty killer. Well,
you clearly need it for your fucking GoldenEye playthrough. If you're ever planning on doing one of those,
hey,
you got your ass whooped.
Oh, GoldenEye, man! I remember back in the N64 era, I would have friends come over and we would play like 4-player split screen, just playing that game like all the time.
So let me explain myself on that. I had the Z button mapped to the left side. So you know how
I had to give you shit, dude.
I know. But you know how shooters are now. For every modern gen game, the shoot button is your right trigger or your R2, and I had it mapped to, for whatever reason, L2, and it was just messing me up, dude. I couldn't like it's like one of the reasons like I was trying to play Quake 3 on the Dreamcast the other night, and I was just getting my ass tore up because I have to have inverted controls because I've been using them for so long. But
you use inverted controls, really?
Just on the up down, just on not left right.
Oh.
Up down, I use inverted. I have to, dude. My brain like mechanically doesn't work the other way now. I cannot, because like if it comes to like quick reacting, I can't do it.
For flying games, it's funny because I mean I guess everybody's programmed and wired different, but for me, flying games, my controls have to be inverted. Like for airplane games, like Star Fox, et cetera, like I have to be inverted.
Yeah,
like, that's the way that my brain works. But like for FPSs, et cetera, going forward, like I have to have up is up and down is down. This is, everybody's wired a little bit different,
Yeah, not everyone's perfect. Oh man, I think we're caught up on the chat. Let's talk about Crackdown 3 was delayed. It's kind of funny. I was on the fence about getting a Xbox One X for a little bit, and we can kind of go into that a little bit and get your opinion on that awesome stuff. But they canceled Scalebound earlier in the year. You have a Crackdown 3 delay, which has I think been delayed before, and all these first-party games are getting pushed back. Pretty much all Xbox has right now is Lucky Tail, Cuphead, and there's another one I think. Oh, Forza. There might be one more, but it's nothing huge. So you've got the Xbox One X launch coming out in November with really no games other than Forza to show off this incredibly powered console that Xbox has been touting now for over a year. So I just wanted to get your opinions on that. Do you guys think this is really going to, do you think this is going to hurt the Xbox One X? Or do you think it's definitely going to hurt it,
but the Xbox One has been struggling pretty much since it came out. When Microsoft first came out and they were going to do the DRM thing, they pretty much lost everyone's trust right at that moment, and it dealt such a severe blow to them in terms of PR. It pissed people off so much that I don't think it was something they could ever recover from, and they've just failed to really have a very good first-party lineup.
Yeah. Xander says Lucky Tail looks fun. That would be a great Nintendo game. I don't think Xbox people are going to buy it, though. That's the only problem. I don't think it's going to sell well on the Xbox, ironically. I pre-ordered it. It's like $20. I think with the pre-order it was like 18. So for a physical, I figured why not? But Microsoft, yeah. You bring up an interesting point with that DRM. They instantly turn people off, and now you have games being pushed back, delayed. I don't know. Xbox better get their crap together, man. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, it's not just the games. It's also, regardless if we disagree with this, people care about the graphics, and the PS4 has the better graphics, is the reality of the situation. And the built-in streaming, and streaming is huge. Everyone streams now.
Agreed.
So that was something that gave the PS4 a huge advantage as well, on top of being able to play Blu-rays too. Honestly, I didn't think the PS4 was good at all when it launched either. I remember once I finished Bloodborne around the time that released, I pretty much had nothing. Like, my PS4 sat on a shelf and it collected dust. Like, there was nothing I played on it, because everything that was coming out was multi-plat, and I just played it on my PC.
Yeah, one of the things, and that's an interesting point, you want to talk about graphics and that, at least when the PS4 Pro came out, it had games to show for it. And it still isn't selling well. I mean, it's selling, but you have games optimized for the Pro, and that's still not selling. So you're going to launch this Xbox One X for $100 more with no games? I mean, come on, dude.
I think the whole thing is fucking silly, if you ask me. Like, you're literally asking people. And I think anybody who's a gamer, who is a fan or not a fan, who is just a person who plays games across the board, they're gonna buy that console immediately, because we had the initial, like, oh, the PS4's coming out, Xbox One's coming out, and now you have these revisions where, oh, it's a little bit better. Like, am I really expected to ditch what I already have, buy something that's a little bit upgraded, when we're already so many years into a console where we know that we can just wait a couple years and we're going to get like the new legitimate hands down official PS5 or Xbox One 2 or Xbox 2, whatever they're going to name it, because at this point I have no idea what the fuck they're going to call it. But I mean, literally, what is the point of investing this money into something if you're saying they're not selling? Like, it's a legitimate reason why they're not selling. Like, you're asking people to buy a mid-console launch. Like, that's too much. It's too much. And yeah. I understand these mid-console things are understandable, but they were also, back, if we talk about it, like, they were easy for, the consumer. They were also easier for the developer or the console maker. Like, they were more cost efficient. They were more, if you want to call it, dumbed down versions. But this is the first time that we've seen a more expensive upscaling mid-console thing. And I've always said that it's a very slippery slope what we're going at, because I've said this before, and I just want to say it one more time, that I think is kind of the gerbil. Like, it's a testing ground where they can see how many people will buy this, and how, if it's selling well, or they can launch a very exclusive title for that mid-console launch where people will be forced to buy that mid-console launch. Yeah. And I think that's a very terrifying thought, because if that's the case, that terrifies me, man, to know that I can't play the new Uncharted game or the new Halo game or whatever have you, because I am not participating in a mid-console launch that's more powerful.
Yeah, Tazen makes a very good point. Mid-gen consoles are like hardware DLC. I've never heard that.
Agreed, yeah.
That's good, right on.
Yeah, that's fucking spot on, man. That's good shit. Yeah.
The precedent I was scared of when the PS4 Pro and then the Xbox One X stuff started happening was, I was worried that they might focus so much on the upgraded console versions that the original versions of the game have a lot of problems, and that's what I was kind of worried about, is, would they neglect the original version? Unfortunately, from what I've seen, it seems like everything's still perfectly fine, so that's all good.
Xander says, where was that? Only tech heads want to upgrade. I said, I'm going to put, hey, I agree. I agree with Xander. The problem with that, though, is, unfortunately for Microsoft and Sony, most tech heads, I'll just be like, fuck it, I'm going to buy a PC. I'm just going to build a PC. So, and that's the problem they run into there. But
there's go ahead.
I don't understand. I mean, are there console tech heads out there? Like, are there people that own consoles that just want the best console? I mean, to me, that's kind of silly. I'm sure they're out there, but I think the majority of actual like tech heads would just be like, I'm just gonna buy a PC.
Or my thoughts on everything is like, I'll buy. All right, So let me tell you from my standpoint, and then you can give or take. You can take it. You can take it as what you will. Like I play on everything, every console, to a degree. I have just about every new gen console at this point, and the one past. But I'm also a PC gamer. So I'll put it as in this respect that like I play on everything. My heart is where consoles are at. I love consoles because that's what I grew up with. PC is very new. It's a little bit foreign to me, and it's still like taking me time to understand it. But what I'm getting at is like even with all these things at my disposal, I still favor consoles just because they're more easier and more intuitive. So if you're a PC gamer, like PC Master Race, whatever, like, more power to you, man. I mean, if that's your bread and butter, that's great. I listen, but there are people out there like, the PC, like quote unquote, and I'm literally putting my hands up doing the quote unquote, like PC Master Race. If you got to have that best and the number one and the most best looking things, et cetera, like then there's no point in you even having a console to debate these things. Put your money where your mouth is if that's what's most important to you, and get a fucking PC and call it a day.
Yeah, I know. Awesome Stuff's a big PC gamer, so I'm pretty sure he would agree with you on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing too is I use my PC a lot for like mods and stuff in games because it's like free DLC essentially.
Yeah,
right.
The thing too is the PC can emulate everything from like the Atari all the way to the Wii with way better graphics, the correct aspect ratio. You don't have to hook up wires, and it's like the ultimate gaming machine because of that. I have all those games on one platform. I don't have to worry about region locking. I don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
I can play fan translated games that I would never be able to play in English otherwise. So that's another really big reason why I play PC a lot. But I've always played both consoles and PC. I play console exclusive games. And then when it's not a console exclusive game, I just play it on my PC. But for a lot of older games, even way back in the day when I wasn't into PC gaming as much, and I mostly did console, I still used the PC for ROMs to play older games.
Born Distracted said, I'm not rich enough as well as smart enough for PCs. Well, the one thing that's nice about that is you can pretty much go to Best Buy and pay. I mean, I wouldn't recommend going to Best Buy because they're expensive, but you could go there and buy a PC for probably around $500 to $600. That's better than any of the consoles you're going to get.
But the thing too is you could order the parts and then take it to like a store and they'll build it for you for a fee.
Yeah.
Like I don't know shit about like building PCs, believe it or not, even though I play because I have people I know who are very nice that help me build them.
Yeah. They're really not hard to do.
I know what the parts do, but I don't know how to put the PC itself together. Like I can open the case, clean the dust out and all that and plug the wires in. But I don't know, like individually, okay, this part goes here in the PC. Okay, I put the motherboard there, the video card here. I don't do the building part of it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like everyone's like super hard. I understand that because I can't build one either, but just go to someone you know or go to a store. They will build it for you if you get the parts. And if you order the parts, even if you have to pay someone to build it for you, you'll still save a lot of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You'll get a better rig. I mean, I don't play PC games much. I mean, aside from Steam, like I've got that little thing I use for like just I can play like Steam indies on it, which is cool because there's a lot of indies on Steam that aren't on PS4 or Xbox. But I know how to build a PC. I used to actually do it a lot in the early 2000s. Like I was a huge PC gamer back in like before 2004. Before I graduated, like my whole high school years after I stopped playing football, I was just a total geek, man. And I had an uncle who was into it. We used to go to computer shows. We used to always have the best like computers. We'd build them. So I learned how to do everything then, and I was really big into PC gaming. And I thought about doing it recently, and I priced like a crazy build. It was like an i7 with a 1060, which isn't even the best graphics card right now. And I was coming in at like around $800 with Windows 10 and everything. And this thing would have been a monster, man. It had like, I think I had like 16 gigs of DDR. I want to say DDR4 or 5. I can't remember. It was like the best RAM you could get. And I almost clicked. I had everything in my shopping cart, and I'm like, I can't do it. I just can't justify that cost. I can't justify the cost because I already have a PS4 and an Xbox, and I'm like, I can't justify it for better graphics. I just can't do it. So I mean, I definitely see. I mean, and like I said, you don't have to spend that much, but there's a lot of different options. So yeah.
Another thing too, people don't mention about PC is when it comes to digital games, PC is the only platform that has DRM-free digital games. So you could download the game and you can do anything you want with it. You don't have to log into some server. You don't have to do anything. You could literally give a copy of it to your friend for free and they could play it if you wanted to, or you could keep it on a hard drive and so that in the future, 30 years from now, you don't have to worry, because this has DRM, I'm never going to be able to play this digital game again. And PC is the only platform that has that.
Yeah, that's true. And then I bought my wife a PC so she could play Sims 4. I bought her like a laptop. It's like it's kind of like mine. It's like one step below mine. I have an A10, A6 AMD laptop that I despise, and she plays Sims 4 on hers. So these AMD processors are junk, man. You can't do anything as far as like multitasking goes.
Yeah, you got to go with Intel nowadays.
Yeah. But you guys got anything else on the Xbox? We kind of wandered off in the PC territory.
There's not too much with it. I think the Xbox brand, I hate to say it, but they're really screwed. Like, I don't know what they can do to turn it around at this point.
I get a lot of like Sega death vibes when I think of Microsoft lately. I feel like everything Microsoft is doing, we kind of saw with Sega, like back before their demise, like the additional add-ons, the lack of games towards the end of like the Genesis life. And then it just became racing games and fighting games towards like the Dreamcast. I mean, the Dreamcast had some decent games, but let's be honest, the majority of it was like arcade ports. You had your fighting games, you had your racing games. It was just, and I get that I kind of get the same vibe from Xbox right now. All we're getting is Forza games. All we're getting is Halo. All we're getting is shooters. It'll be interesting. I hope they do well for the simple fact that competition in the gaming industry is good. And when we have competition, there's more innovation and there's more, original ideas coming out because they have to stay relevant. And if you lose a console, then what? You're going to have Sony and Nintendo, and you're pretty much they're just going to start doing the same thing. So yeah, I mean, I have all three consoles at this point. But I was disappointed when Crackdown 3 was delayed. But like you said, Kamikaze, it's better to have a delayed game than a broken game, I suppose.
Right. So here's my thought on the whole thing. All right. Do I think Microsoft is really on the chopping block? Like I think you guys are maybe putting it? No, absolutely not. I think that they're very far from it. I think Microsoft has built a very huge fan base, and for them to be like almost kind of counted out because of not exclusives, I think it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for without being offensive? Kind of dumb for not thinking that they're
extreme, maybe.
Yeah, I think that and not to be, in either way, like to be disrespectful, but I think Microsoft is very far from being counted out. Okay,
I would agree. I would agree.
Microsoft is not to be trifled with. I think in a lot of standings, I think that they have done very well with not only offering games and saying, hey, if you buy it on Xbox One, you can also get it on the Microsoft Store. And are the games on the Microsoft Store worth buying? I bought one. I learned my lesson very quickly. No, they are not.
Are you talking about those? Which games are you talking about?
I bought the Gears of War Ultimate Edition on the Windows Store.
Gotcha.
And it literally, every time I died, it made my PC completely shut down. And look, and you guys are talking about PC. I spent almost close to $3,000 on my laptop. So going forward, what I'm getting at is Microsoft, I think, is a powerhouse still. I think it's still in them, and I think that they're going to learn from their mistakes. And I'm going to tell you, I think the next generation, Microsoft, Xbox, like I said, I can't tell you what it's going to be called. I mean, obviously PlayStation, the next iteration is going to be 5. But Xbox, I have no idea what they're going to name this shit at this point. But what I'm getting at is I think they're not to be trifled with. They're still a powerhouse. They still have amazing titles behind their shit. They just need to find the right developers for their games. And you're right. I do think their downfall is there's certain games where it's like we need this type of game before, and I guess people just kind of, I don't know what Microsoft's deal is with like certain developers, like for example, like Bungie left and then Halo got took over by 343. But if Halo 6 is a masterpiece, I think everybody's back in. I think everybody's going to be back in. I think if Crackdown 3 being delayed is a good thing, if that's a masterpiece, people are back in. Forza, whatever. Moving on, it's a racing game. Yeah. But I think if there was also another Gears of War that's a masterpiece, people are back in, dude. People. And
I thought Gears of War, and I thought Gears of War 4 was pretty good for the most part. I mean, it was. I
thought it was very well. I thought it was short. It was short, quick, and sweet. The multiplayer was what everyone expected. It was good. I mean, if you wanted to argue, well, it's more of the same. Sometimes that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
If it's good, don't fucking fix it. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it, dude. Well, if it's good.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Well, I was going to say, and I think they took, because after 3, if you've played it, you're like, well, what more can they do? And I thought they went in a good direction with the story. And they kind of moved on from the previous cast of characters without just completely forgetting about them. It was good the way they worked it in. But one thing Microsoft can do is Microsoft has a lot of money, and they could go to these developers and say, hey, what do you need to get this done? Here's a big fat check. You'll be exclusive with us. But at the same time, our developers going to be so willing to do that because developers going to be like, well, PS4's got a 60 million user base. So you have a 30 million user base. So why would I be exclusive to you? It could go both ways, but I mean, I suppose the death calls and marches are maybe a little unwarranted, but
I agree.
And I think one of the reasons why we have that though is because of the extreme 1080 they took from last gen to this gen, because they were a powerhouse last gen, and then it was a complete role reversal.
Agreed 100%. But Xander just said if Halo is a masterpiece, will people really play it though? Yes.
Yeah, people buy it.
As good as Halo 2 and 3 for sure.
Dude, are you losing your mind right now? Do you need something to drink? Can I make you something? Are you crazy? Yes.
Do you need to sit in his squeaky chair and be?
Yeah, dude. Go, I'll get up and I'll let you squeak it through, dude. Fucking. Are you retarded? Look, I didn't say that. Halo, yes. It is a monster of a fucking franchise of a game. It is a fucking amazing, etc. They have fallen off the bandwagon, and I think RetroBro, you said you didn't like 4 that much, but I thought 4.
No, I liked 4. I didn't like Reach too much. I actually liked 4. I like 4.
I think I remember. All right, so if I may, I want to open up with what IGN, and I know everybody doesn't like IGN. I get it, but IGN I think said it best when Halo 4 came out, and if I may, this is something around what they quoted. They said 343 is a company we've never heard about, and they just took over the Halo franchise. There's a question of what has this company done wrong to this game and how bad they've messed it up. But I think people are not asking the more important question. What if Halo 4 is the best Halo game ever? And that's how they opened up that review. Halo 4 was really good, dude. It was really good. Maybe the multiplayer, because I didn't spend a long time with that, but I will say the campaign in Halo 4 was decently done. Very, very decently done.
How'd you like?
For me, okay. I started with Halo 1 back in the day on the original Xbox, and I liked the campaign of that one. And then Halo 2 was where I really got into the series. I didn't like the campaign too much, but I loved the multiplayer. I played it every single day with friends on Xbox Live. And same with Halo 3. I didn't like the campaign in that one either. Pretty much, I only liked the first Halo's campaign, and then the rest of them I don't like too much. I could find them kind of okay. That's it. But the multiplayer of 2 and 3 were so good because the game had weapons that would spawn on the map, like the rockets, the shotgun, and you had to go out and you had to get that on the map, and you had to control those parts of the map. And so people couldn't camp on the map because they constantly had to go out and get the weapons that spawned. And that solved the camping problem that a lot of online shooters today have. Because nowadays in today's shooters, there's no objectives or weapons for you to go out and get on the map. So what everyone ends up doing, they camp in the corner of a room. You run into a room and they shoot you and you die without even knowing where they are. And Halo 2 and 3 did that so well. And for a console FPS, it took more skill than any other game as far as the console FPS multiplayer-wise that I have played. And I just haven't seen a game with that kind of map design, that kind of game design in terms of multiplayer console shooters ever since Halo 3. And Halo Reach went downhill for me with the map design. And then Halo 4, my big problem with Halo 4's multiplayer was how I mentioned the weapons spawning on the maps at certain parts of the map and you had to go out and get them. In Halo 4, they took that out completely and you got random call-downs of random weapons. And that made the game more luck-based and it removed the element of map control. Because what would happen is you get a kill streak, you just call down the weapon, and then you just go back to camping in the map. And that's why Halo 4, the multiplayer, I couldn't get into it at all.
All right, but hey, multiplayer aside, okay? Let's just put multiplayer aside. Let's just pretend like multiplayer never existed, right? Story-wise, campaign-wise, awesome stuff HD. Like, what do you think about the campaign, the meats and potatoes of the game? Which I always consider the meats and potatoes of the game. Other people consider the multiplayer the meats and potatoes of the game, but the story and where they took it, et cetera, et cetera. Where do you compare that to Halo 1, 2, and 3?
Halo 1's gameplay, it's pretty good. The story is nothing memorable. Very mediocre story. Halo 2, I didn't like much either in terms of the campaign. I beat it, never had the urge to go back and replay, even though I love the multiplayer. Halo 3, the campaign was the worst. 1 through 3, there was this level called Cortana, and the flood comes at you, all these like little monsters.
Yeah.
And there was no spot to take cover like anywhere in this level, and it was almost impossible on the harder difficulties. Like the rest of the levels in the game were pretty fine, but this one, like it was one of the worst design levels I remember playing in a first-person shooter. For me, like if you want to talk about like my favorite campaign first-person shooters, it would be stuff like Doom, the original and the remake by Bethesda.
It
would be stuff like the original Deus Ex Human Revolution. Let me tell you about Deus Ex. That game, you could play it almost any way you wanted. You could sneak past all the enemies. You can fight them all. You can go through a secret route. You just could go 10 different ways about solving any situation. And the thing that was so revolutionary about Deus Ex as an FPS was multiple endings. You could make a decision that completely changes the next part of the game. And you could end up like randomly shooting an NPC in the story, and it completely changes an event later in the story. And I'd never seen any game do that. And I didn't play the original Deus Ex, which came out in 2000, until 2011, when a friend of mine who's a big fan of it recommended it to me. And I've never seen any game amaze me like the way that Deus Ex, the original, did.
Hey, Kamikaze Soundwaves, I wanted to ask you this. Xander Scullion, I wanted to get your take on this. He says, I like Halo, but I mean, Halo 5 didn't make me go, I need an Xbox One. So what do you think of that? I mean, Halo should be their console seller, but you have a game now.
Well, Bungie isn't there anymore, okay? Now, before we go into that, I just want to say awesome stuff, HD. Dude, me and you, dude, like, I am so on your level. Like, like, me and you, man, I get everything you're saying. I'm with you 100%. But now, if you're going on, like, fucking, like, Doom, et cetera, like, dude, I'm so agreeing with all this stuff. It's hard for me to. Anyway.
Then you probably had a few at this point anyways, waiting for
Yeah. No, but no, seriously. Talking about Halo. Okay.
I'll agree though that Halo 5 was not a console seller.
Halo 5 turned into Gears of War. It turned into a squad-based shooter. And what the fuck is... All right, listen. You're asking me to play as a character I've never met before. I know nothing about this person. Why the fuck are you asking me to... And I never referenced Halo 5, by the way. I talked about Halo 4. Halo 5... Why am I talking about this guy? John, no, he's not John. What was his name? Whatever his name, it doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant.
Locke, I think it's like John Locke or something.
Locke. Why am I expected to play as this character who I've never met? I have no connection with him whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you want me to care about him? And he hates the Chief, who's one of my favorite game characters of all time. I hate him immediately just because he doesn't like Chief.
Yeah.
That was a bad fucking decision. And the marketing behind Halo 5 was atrocious. You saw that duality where it's like, who's right, who's wrong? And there was like this skeptical thing, like, oh, maybe Chief's actually the villain of the whole thing.
Oh, that turned me off. That was one of the reasons why I didn't buy it right away. I'm like, I can't. If this game is Chief being a bad guy, I'm not playing it. Like, I just... Exactly. Because like you said, you learn to love him. You know, even if he is the bad guy, he's the good guy. Everyone else is wrong, and he's right.
And Chief even though Chief had no like personality, even though it was like elevator, 4 or 5, blood. Even though he was so like just nonchalant, like you grew to love his character. He was just, I'm a badass, and I got nothing much to say except for pointing shit out like, there's enemies ahead. Like, you know, he was just like very nonchalant, etc.
But you connect with him on like other levels with like Cortana and, you know, the way he interacts and just...
Right.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
He's a fucking badass in a nonchalant way. But you're asking me to just, hey, well, fucking push this guy that you guys have loved for fucking years aside and let's just side with Locke. Who the fuck is Locke? I got nothing to do with Locke.
The only reason, yeah, exactly. The only thing that kept me playing Halo 5 was to get past those annoying Locke areas so I can go be Master Chief. Like,
absolutely.
I would just try and burn through those levels. Like, I don't like this guy. All right. Okay, I'm Master Chief now.
Yeah,
keep
absolutely.
it this way. But
yeah,
that's one of the...
Man, he's my dude, man. I look, as nonchalant as he is, et cetera, like, I like Master Chief. He's a fucking badass. He really, really is, like, down to the essentials. You know, he takes care of business. He doesn't have the chitter chatter. He's just there to fuck shit up, you know. But no, man, that's why I love Master Chief. But like I said, a Halo 5, and also not only in the Locke retrospective, like you're asking me to also accept Master Chief's friends and people he grew up with. If you know the Halo lore, you know who these people are, but still you're asking me to accept them and care about them, and I have no redeeming qualities about these people. Like, I don't care about them. I could care less if like they're like, hey Chief, pick me up. Like, nah, dude, you're good. Like, you fucking pass on. Like, I don't care about you. You can die. I don't care. There's just that squad-based shooter. Like, if I want to play a Halo game, I want to be a solo lone wolf badass who saves the universe on my own. I don't need help to do it.
That was one of the things that really, I just finished Titanfall 2. That's one of the things Titanfall 2 did really well, is you actually connect with the Titan that you're using. And
character development.
Yeah, exactly. Now, well, you didn't have much character development with your character because you're essentially him. You know what I mean? Like, you're the pilot, but you connect with the Titan, which I thought that was really good.
I heard everyone say Titanfall 2 has an amazing campaign.
Dude, it's so good. Yeah, Black Metal Gamer was like highly praising it last year, and I was like, you're just over exaggerating, bro. Like, I'll play it eventually. And then, like, he's like, no, man, I'm telling you, you got to play it. It's awesome, dude. It's, like, one of the best first-person shooters of this gen. And I'm like, all right, I'll get it when it's, like, $20. So it was, like, $20. I got it. And, yeah, dude, like, I played it. I beat it in 3 sittings, which was rare for me. And I'm like, I stayed up till, like, almost 2 a.m. last night just to finish it it makes me want to go back and play it. It's a good game, man.
Yeah, just a second that, man. I played it too, man. Dude, awesome stuff, HD. Like, if you haven't played it, dude, it's so good. It's so good. There's so much like
there's boss battles, man.
Robot. Yeah, man. It feels like an early 2000 first person shooter, like with a robot type vibe. Like, there's just so much like character in your characters. The gameplay is amazing. It really speaks for itself, man. You really need to dive into it if you haven't.
Yeah, that was one of the 2 games I beat this month. It was that one and Battlefield 1, which Battlefield 1 was good, but Titanfall 2 was way better. But let's see if we got any other questions here. Cyber says Halo 5 was Call of Duty. Yeah,
pretty much.
Been wanting to get Titanfall 2. Looks way better than Part 1. Yeah, Titanfall 1 was asshole. That game sucked. Oh, did you like speaking of the first one, did you play the first one, Kamikaze?
Yeah, I did. Did
you like the little like it wasn't really an Easter egg, but it was like a little nod to the first one at the end of the second one, where you get that gun. I don't want to give anything away, but
no, I beat the game. I'm just trying to remember because I beat it like when it first came out. I'm trying to remember. It's been like months at this point.
Well, after you go through and everything happens with BT, and then he gives you that gun that's like that he's storing. That gun is in the first one. You don't even use it in the second one. In fact, I didn't even think of it. It's that like automatic like homing weapon, where it like it's got like homing bullets.
Oh, and everyone was pissed off with that weapon. They're like, "What the fuck? Automatic headshots? Like, what the fuck?" Yeah.
But they give that to you towards the end of that game when you're like just trying to survive, and I thought that was like a cool little nod. And speaking of Titanfall 2, and you know, I've said it before, I don't like the new Doom, and part of it is because of the platforming. But Titanfall 2 does platforming the way a first-person shooter it should be done. It's not over the top. It's not overly complicated. And it doesn't focus... Like there's a focus on it, but it doesn't almost... Like, there's not whole sections of the games related to platforming like I feel like there was with Doom. In my opinion, it's better than Doom. I know that's a bold statement, but that's how I feel about it.
I like it, but I think me and Awesome Stuff HD would also agree that Doom was really good, fucking solid campaign. It's a good fucking game, man. I mean, I know you had your gripes with it, but it's fucking good, man. You know, it's just I said before, it's the verticality of the levels, et cetera, et cetera. It's a good fucking game, man. I enjoyed it. I did.
Oh, sorry, I'm just answering the chat here. So,
awesome stuff. You here, bro?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So, like, what do you think about like that? Like, all right. So, what I mean, John, the RetroBro, he didn't like the campaign of the new Doom game. I did. I thought it embodied every aspect of Doom games. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's that good? Do you think it represents a Doom game?
Yeah, to me, as someone, I'm a huge fan of the original Doom. Like, I've played it through a lot of times, and it's one of my favorite campaign shooter games still to this day. I really feel like it was like the original, where you had a lot of exploration in the levels, and it was very fast-paced, and it was a lot of shooting. And it really rewarded exploration. You had a lot of secrets in the game, and the game really made you explore. And I feel like that was kind of something that was missing a little bit in shooters nowadays. And so I really liked that they brought that back in the new Doom.
See, I didn't mind that part of Doom because you expect that in Doom. But my problem was the pacing. It was to me, it was just too unbalanced. Like I spent way more time trying to look for keys and trying to figure out the platforming than I did killing zombies. Like I would kill or demons. I would have like a burst of demons for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then the rest of the level I felt would be like just searching for keys. And I feel like the originals and the earlier ones, even Doom 3, I thought was better balanced than the newer one. Call me crazy. That's just how I feel.
Now, did you play the new Doom on consoles, or you played it on consoles?
I played
right?
it on PS4.
Yeah,
on PS4.
Me. And then I rebought it on Steam, but I haven't gotten around to it on Steam yet. But for me, I thought the controls for it actually worked pretty well on console for PS4.
Yeah, the controls didn't bother me. It was just the pacing of it.
The controller really good.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't a controller issue. It was just a pacing issue of it. I just thought it was unbalanced as far as how much time you spent actually killing things versus looking for things.
Well, I said it before. I think Doom was hands down like one of the best games of 2016. Campaign wise, the multiplayer was trash, but the campaign was really good. I loved the verticality of the levels. I loved how like you could scale up and then like drop down and like do your kill animation by like jumping on an enemy and like doing that animation that way, like sneaking up behind them from the side to the front to the left. And they made like killing a priority versus like, you know, shoot, hide behind something. It also embodied Doom in that way where like you needed to continuously kill, be active, don't slouch behind shit, because a lot of games I think take realism like a little bit too serious nowadays, where it's like, you know, pop up behind cover, like pop a few bullets, you need to hide down because, you know, your little blood meter is gonna rise up, you need to like let it die back down. Like it took like just straightforward FPS games like in the 90s to like what I think we all expected. And that's why I said like I like Doom, the 2016 game. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
BioPhoenix is asking about the new Wolfenstein.
Oh, that's a day one buy for me.
Yes, sir, because the first one was fucking good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. That was Wolfenstein, man. Like, that game nailed it, dude. So
did you play the New Order or whatever it was, the DLC that was like almost like a full-fledged game on its own? Did you play that one as well?
I have it, but I haven't played it yet. I'll play it before I get the new one.
It's more the same, but it's great. It's great.
But yeah, that's what I heard. It's essentially just the prequel.
Yeah.
Hey, someone brought this up, and someone in the chat, I can't remember who it was. It was a ways up, and I didn't get to touch on it at the time because we were talking about something else. But what's going on with that new Quake game? Aren't we supposed to be getting a new Quake game coming out? Because that just kind of like they announced it at E3, and it's just been glossed over.
I don't got much to speak on it for. I don't watch E3 shit. Like I just don't. It's not my thing. So I don't got much to speak on it for.
Yeah. Have you heard anything awesome?
Not too much. I have a friend who's really into Quake. He plays a lot of Quake Live, but I don't remember him mentioning anything about it. And I'm kind of like, I basically, I don't watch too much of E3. I really just kind of wait for it to get over, and then I see what games were announced, and then if some of them look really interesting, I go back and I watch and I see what the trailer and the gameplay was for it.
Yeah. I'm the same way. The only thing I did do is I did watch the Microsoft one live because I wanted to see if it was going to be a dumpster fire or not. And for the most part, I thought they had a good showing. But after that, I just kind of went back and watched like the recaps of like PS4 and Nintendo. But yeah, Xander,
yeah, I remember during the Nintendo when I was at work and I went on break and I went to check like the games news websites to see what was announced, and I remember seeing Metroid Prime 4, and I'd never been more excited for a game in a long time, because Metroid Prime 1 is such a good game. Like, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was a huge
long time. Like, Nintendo, please make Metroid Prime 4, and they finally announced it, and I just couldn't have been more happy.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think they'll have a good lineup. It'll be interesting to see what third party does with them.
Have you played the original Metroid Prime?
The original for GameCube is the only one I've ever played, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are good. Those are really good.
It's funny, I actually played Metroid Prime was actually the first Metroid game I ever played, because I never played the one on, was it Nintendo? Was the first one on Nintendo? I never played the first one, and I certainly never played the one on Super Nintendo because I never owned one. But yeah, Metroid Prime was my first entrance into the series.
Well, I'll be first to admit that I never beat Super Metroid, but I remember I did play it, and what only thing I remember about that game was the fucking atmosphere of that game being isolated and alone, and it was just it was so fucking. It was like I remember the gameplay being good, et cetera, but I remember playing that on Super Nintendo, just thinking, "Oh my god, like I'm alone right now, like." I'm alone on this like isolated planet. Like it just gave you those feels. It was really like a really, really good like just atmospheric game.
Tazen is asking awesome stuff. Do you prefer Metroid Prime 1 on GameCube or Wii?
I've only played through Prime 1 on the GameCube every time, but one of my friends, he got the trilogy recently. And he played through Metroid Prime 1 on that, and he said the Wii version was the way to go. So I'm definitely going to get the trilogy version for my next playthrough, because I've heard that the Wiimote controls work really well for it, and that like the game has faster loading times and has additional difficulty modes. So I figure I might as well get the trilogy version in the future for when I do my next playthrough of it.
Right on. Xander wants to know... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and read. If you weren't done, go ahead.
Wait, who?
Xander wants to know, does Kamikaze and Awesome Stuff HD like Yakuza? Are you looking forward to the remake of 1 in 2 weeks?
I mean, I played Yakuza 0, and I like the story of it a lot, but the gameplay, it's not bad, but it gets really old really fast. Like, it has depth to it, there's strategy to it, but it really doesn't change too much as I went further and further into the game. It was mostly the combat remained the same, and so I was mostly playing it for the story.
Right.
I know that's not going to be a popular opinion because I know a lot of people like Yakuza, but I didn't get into the gameplay as much as other people.
Well, I've only gotten like a 3/4 through the second chapter, and from what I've seen, I mean, I haven't really upgraded much at all, but I could kind of see that if things don't really change, I can kind of see how you could get that, like how that would be definitely an issue for me. Because like I've upgraded my fighting styles, I think like 3 times, but I've only used the same fighting style because it works. And I'm like, well, this works, so why change it? So, but I was thinking like, well, maybe further on as the bosses get harder, or the enemies get harder, then you might have to change it. But yeah, if that's not the case, I could certainly see that being a thing. I need to go back and beat Yakuza 0. It's that game came out and I got it and I played like a couple hours of it, and then like literally Zelda came out and I'm like, well, I'm playing Zelda. He said Yakuza games shine on the side quest. Trust me. I hate side quests. That's one of the reasons why I don't like Final Fantasy or any other JRPG game.
It's kind of similar for me with side quests too, even though I play like a lot of RPGs, because I find a lot of them, it's not all games, but a fair amount of games, it's like busy, like time wasters. Like they don't
fetch quests.
Not anything that's like meaningful. Like you do like busy work, like go kill 5 enemies at this base. Go kill 5 enemies at another random base. Go kill another 5 enemies at a random location. And I'm not saying all games are like that, but if Yakuza has really good side quests, then I'd be willing to do them.
I'll have to check them. Yeah, we'll have to check them out. Have you played any of the Yakuza games, Kamikaze?
No, and I've heard there are a lot like kind of like Shenmue games. And I've got nothing against Shenmue, but I remember playing the first one. I was like, this is fucking weird, dude. Like, this is really weird. No, but have I played any of them? Nah, like they just haven't like grabbed my interest. And I'm a huge Sega fan, which is even weirder.
Well, yeah, I think if you're a huge Sega fan, you'd like them. Yakuza being compared to Shenmue, it's I think that's kind of a poor comparison. I mean,
But I've heard that.
But the thing is, like, okay, it's Shenmue without the annoying shit. Like, it's Shenmue with more action and less of the like I got to go get up and go to work and get a job and get money to pay the hotel that I'm staying at. So it's like it doesn't have that tedious stuff in it. It's actually got more action. I think it's like if you don't like Shenmue for those reasons, then you'd probably like Yakuza. See, oddly enough, I actually like Shenmue for that stuff. Call me crazy, but to me, I look at like Shenmue as more of like a life simulator, you know. So
before it was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Before all these stupid walking sims came out. Jeez, how is that even a thing? Go through India and it's like
Yakuza is a really good game series. Like if you need to record gameplay for a video while you talk for like YouTube, like that's a good game because the combat in that game is so over the top crazy.
It is.
I mean, you'll grab like a sofa, fucking smash a guy with it, fucking throw him out a window. I mean, it's insane.
It is, man. Oh, that first boss battle, man, when you're going through that like hotel area or that office building and you're just going into these rooms and these dudes just like swarm you and it's just a massive bludgeon fest, dude. It's a good beat 'em up, man. It's how 3D beat 'em ups need to be done. It's like the perfect incarnation of them. So, all right, guys. On that, anything coming, Kamikaze? Anything coming in the works as far as the channel goes next week? Anything we got to look forward to?
Well, I got Final Fantasy 7 for like $7. Shout out to JRPG. He told me about it, so I was like, "Fuck it, man." You know what? I played through it like 10 times at this point. I thought I'd do a live stream mode, so I've been live streaming it the last couple of nights. The summer games are out. Awesome stuff. I'm sure you know about the summer games on Overwatch are out. So that's probably where I'll be spending most of my time for the next couple of days, playing Final Fantasy 7 and doing the summer games on Overwatch.
You know, for $7, I might buy it.
Dude, fucking do it.
Because I've only ever played bits and pieces of it, and I never like actually sat down and tried to play it. So maybe you never know. Maybe this old dog can learn some new tricks, man.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna like it right away, and understandably. But the characters you grow to love and learn over the time, and it takes time to love them and to grow to love the characters that you're with in the story, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, like, I mean, Final Fantasy started with me with Final Fantasy 7, so like it's a big deal for me. And it's still
it's the same for me too. But for me, I found it exciting right from the start. I think the game opens in a very exciting way with you like jumping off the train and you're going into that reactor to bomb it, and you're like a terrorist group.
Basically, yeah, and absolutely. But like, I never played a Final Fantasy game before, so maybe Final Fantasy games were like lackluster until this one. But I started with this one, and like it's amazing. It literally just gives you just feels from the start to end. So take with it what you will. It's not for everybody, but if you've never played a Final Fantasy game and you're looking to jump into one and you're thinking like maybe I want to try out the Final Fantasy franchise, Final Fantasy 7 to me is the one to start with because that's the one I started with and that's what made me like it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, 7 got me into the series too. I think it's a very good game still. For me now though, nowadays 6 is my favorite.
So awesome stuff, man. I know you're really not making you're not making videos on YouTube anymore. So a little bit of a different question for you. What are your some of your gaming goals going forward, like within the next month or so, or games you plan on buying day one that you're looking forward to?
Games I'm planning on buying day one. If anyone knows the developer Falcom, they're going to be releasing. They make the games called YS. It's like an action game series. Really, really good game series. I'm going to be buying Ys 8, which is coming out in September, day one. That's going to be an amazing game, I'm absolutely certain. And then also, they ported Ys 7 from the PSP to the PC, and that's coming out August 30th. That's going to be another day one buy. Metroid Samus Returns, that's going to be a day one buy for me. You know, I don't agree with the DLC stuff they're doing with the hard mode difficulty, so I'm not going to buy the DLC for it. But I've wanted to play another 2D Metroid for a really long time, so I'm very excited for that game. Actually,
that game needs to go to the
3DS. Really underrated RPG series, like the Dark Souls of turn-based RPGs.
Oh, right on. The I want that. I hope that Metroid game goes to the Switch, man. I don't understand why. Is that like a remake of an earlier one or something? Because I don't understand why they don't put that on the Switch.
It might as well be considered a completely different game.
Okay, I hope they put that on the Switch, man. Yeah, Xander Solian says, "Why is it Wise or Yeez? Is that how you see it?
Yeah, it's pronounced pretty weird. I remember I used to pronounce it Wise too.
Okay, yeah, I know he's a huge fan of that series. He's always talking about it, so he's looking forward to that one. So,
yeah, Falcom, the developers of Yeez are really good. They also make another really good game series. That's a RPG series called the Trails series. Like Trails in the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel. Amazing RPG games. Like some of the best characters, some of the best combat. And it's sad because they're just so underrated. Like so many people haven't heard about them. They haven't got the chance to try any of those games. And if you're into turn-based RPGs like Final Fantasy or Lunar or Grandia or Phantasy Star, you absolutely should play Trails of Cold Steel or Trails in the Sky.
Right on. Well, I know there's some people in the chat that'll probably check that one out. Xander Scullion asked one more, and I don't know why I didn't brush up on this earlier. I should have put it as a topic, but Xander Scullion asks, Awesome HD, are you getting Wise Origins limited run? And I kind of wanted to get you guys' opinions on that limited run games real quick before we bounce out of here. So I'll let you go first. Awesome stuff.
Okay. For Ys Origins, I played through it on PC. I like the game. It's a pretty good game, but I'm happy with the PC version because I can get on GOG DRM free. So for me, I don't really need the physical copy of it. As far as limited run games go, the thing about physical copies is that in theory, you'll own it forever, but the hardware to play those games is eventually going to stop having the parts for them being manufactured. And when they go out of production and there's no new ones being made and they're starting to break down and people can't repair it anymore with the hardware because it's not being manufactured anymore, physical is not going to be able to future-proof games. The only way to really future-proof games is ROMs. That's really the only way of preserving old games, because eventually all the hardware of these consoles is going to break and the parts for them are no longer going to be manufactured. So these third-party people who like to do it as a hobby to repair it for other people, they're not going to be able to do that anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you make a good point. It's kind of funny because all these, collectors these days are like, oh, we're doing it to preserve gaming. Well, really, ROMs and digital media of games is how we're going to preserve them, because because as time changes, you're going to find a way to play them with just the digital software of the games. I mean, you can go back and play DOSBox games through DOSBox. I mean, there's always going to be advances in technologies to play them. My problem with limited run is they target a specific group of people, which is like the hardcore collectors. And those people want those games simply for the reason because not everyone can have those games. You see what I'm saying? So because those games are hard to get, that's why they go out and buy them. And that's why these orders fill up in like less than 2 minutes and they sell out. So it's really kind of ironic because what they're doing is they're taking digital games and they're offering a physical solution, but at the same time, they're probably pushing more people towards digital because people, oh, cool, hey, Wonder Boy's coming out on limited run games. I'm going to try and get a copy of that. And then they go on and it becomes this massive stressful headache. And you know what? Like me, for example, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to get it on digital. It's so much easier. Why go through the headache and the hassle? So now you're pushing more people towards digital. So it's ironic. But Kamikaze, what are your opinions on limited run before we bail out of here?
Limited run games. Okay. So it's a quick cash grab, man.
Yeah.
If you're saying it's limited, people they're gonna be forced to buy it. I mean, I don't buy into that shit. I don't even buy physical anymore unless like I absolutely really want to. I'm straight digital at this point, and I'm completely content with that. So, if you're asking my really full-hearted opinion on limited runs, like, dude, if like that's your fucking tea, like drink it up, man. But for me, I could care less. Like I'm not gonna go out and wait in line and do et cetera, et cetera. Like it's too much. It's too much. Like if you're really that passionate about having a physical, et cetera, like, you know, I mean, good, cool for you, bro. Like, you know, I mean, like, it's not for me, man. Digital. If I look, if I want to play a game that bad, or if I'm that enthralled about what it actually is versus what it you know, just having it as a look what I have type thing, I could give a fuck less, dude. I'm all about playing what I want to play when I want to play it. And that's why I buy digital, man. I want to fucking play a game at 12 a.m. midnight, the day of its release, without waiting in fucking line, having to drive back home and play it. I can play that shit at home, at my house, and play that shit the second it's released on that day without having to wait in line and argue, et cetera, et cetera. You look, if that's what you want to do, man, you know, no slight to you. Do whatever you want to do with your life, but that's just not my cup of tea, man. Well, I could care less.
It's like that Night Trap game. Like we were at AZ Game On, and I was talking to somebody, and they were like sitting there refreshing it, and they were able to get it, and they paid like $128 for the you know, the expensive one or whatever. And I'm like, do you like that game? And he just shook his head no. And I'm like, thinking to myself, so why the fuck are you buying it? Like, you're spending $128 in a game you don't even like. Like, now this person does own a game store, so he did put out the point like, hey, I might just sell it. So hey, more power to him there. I'm not gonna, you know, hate on anyone's hustle, but at the same time, there you have people out there that will literally like buy it, put it on a shelf, and never play it. And that's the type of audience they're targeting. Yeah, Night Trap sucked. It wasn't good in the 90s. It's not good now.
I mean, different folks, different strokes, man. I mean, if that's your cup of tea, you have to have that physical. You have to have that physical media. And that's what drives you to buy games. Like, I don't think we can be friends. You know, it's like, I play games to fucking play them. I also respect the people who also play the games, but like they like to have that physical media. But I will never respect anyone who says, I need to have this game on my shelf, but I have no passion in playing it. It's more for a trophy. Then me and you can't be friends going forward. It's just like, that's not my cup of tea, you know, and that's just not my thing. I play games, and I play only the games that I like to play, and I play them for a reason, because I like to play them. And that's it. Yeah. That's all I got.
Good note. As far as you know, what's going forward as far as my channel, you know, I'm trying to think of a series to do weekly, to do like a Monday video besides my the live show here. So I might have something come out in the next few weeks, but other than that, man, I might do some videos on how to get like the Dolphin emulator working, and I spent a lot of time messing with Null DC and getting that like working to where I needed to on my computer. So I might mess around with that too. I actually did a Soul Calibur stream the other night, or just a Dreamcast stream that came out pretty well. So I'll be selling all my Dreamcast games too. In fact, I sent you a message, Kamikaze. I was like, hey man, need any Dreamcast games before I throw these up on eBay, because they emulate fine on my computer. But that's it for me. Awesome stuff, man. It's been great hearing from you, dude. I know a lot of people, you know, hey, we miss you in the YouTube community, man. So you are not forgotten by any means. And man, maybe hopefully one day we'll get to see another video or a stream here and there. But yeah, I just want to thank you for coming on this episode, dude.
Thanks for having me on, John. It was a lot of fun. And if anyone wants to have me on a stream or a video, I'd be willing to do that. Just let me know.
All right, fellas.
Hey, I just want to say one thing can I say one thing before we go? Like, awesome stuff, AC. Like, I got I think I was on a couple of your streams and I watched a couple of your videos, but like I didn't know much about you. But like, just tonight, man, hands down, like fucking awesome talking to you, man. Much respect. And man, I really respect you. Like I remember, I think I was on a couple of your streams, like, just chatting it up or whatever. But I remember that was very like long ago, and it's hard for me to remember. But I remember them being very, very great. And but anyway, I just wanted to say, man, I had a lot of time, great time talking with you, chatting with you, et cetera, man.
Thank you, Kamikaze.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. People in the comments, thanks for jumping in. Thanks for commenting. And until next time, man, we'll see you on the next show. Take it easy, guys.